Hello friends, and welcome to my kitchen. It is Wednesday at 11 a.m. and so you know what that means. It's time to get my cooking on, right? I'm so glad you joined me today. I, of course, have some amazing dishes for you today that I believe will go on your list of favorites. But I have to confess, I'm coming at you double-fisted, a little coffee and a little water. I've suffered from a little bit of allergies this last week, so super appreciative of any prayers out there to get this gone so that I won't be coughing at you live. We can hope, right? I think the coffee will help make things go down a little bit smoother. Yeah, for sure. I promise it's just coffee. But today our focus, I thought, I won't bring him on camera because I'm pretty sure he hasn't done his hair today. But I got a little bit sentimental thinking, okay, what am I going to cook today? What do people want to see today? A week from today, lots of people started today, but a week from today, school starts back in our hometown. So I know he doesn't like to hear that. It's like, but I thought, what is the most important thing for families and feeding families? And once again, these recipes are good for all people, not people just on a weight loss plan, not people just on a health journey. Although these recipes are designed to give us that indulgent feeling of wonderful cooking, but a healthy spin on it. So I am Julie Brinkley. If this is your first time to join me, welcome to Beneath the Surface News Cooking Live on Wednesday. I'm thrilled to be here every week. For me, it's a little wedge of accountability that I kind of like a whole lot because it's accountability to me to continue to try harder and find ways and recipes that fit within our plan and also please the masses. So today it's all about families. It's all about parents going back to school, parents going back to busy schedules, practices after school, that sort of thing. How do we continue to feed our families and stay healthy? These are a couple things that you could do. So again, if you're just now joining me, I am Julie Brinkley. Thank you for coming on today. And if you would like to know more about where you can find these recipes, you can always look at beneaththesurfacenews.com. There is a third page over, it's called The Crumb. It's a food blog where Sarah does amazing work on reviews and inspirations from other cooks and restaurants that you can read, and all of my recipes are there. You can also look on the archive videos here on Beneath the Surface News Facebook page, and you can find those. And one more way, don't hesitate to connect with me, Julie Brinkley, or Motivation with Brink on Instagram. Reach out to me if you need to know some recipes, or you'd like to find out where to get those recipes, or have questions, or even better, if you make these recipes, please let me know. That's like the best day ever. I won't call you out by name, but there's a couple of you that send me pictures or send me rave reviews from your family when you surprise yourself because you cook something healthy. So I'm hoping that you are building up that list of recipes that you can not just incorporate into your regular week, but that you can maybe replace some of the comfort foods that we're used to. And that's what I've titled this one today, is comfort food, not only made healthy, but made easy for family. And so as we get ready for a new school year, this is gonna be top on your list. So thank you for being here. So we're gonna start off, let me just tell you, from the get-go, I'm gonna tell you this is gonna be a super easy recipe because I'm actually using leftover grilled chicken. Harrison and I had grilled chicken earlier in the week. He made a quesadilla. I made a wonderful grilled chicken salad. And I cooked up the whole amount on the Blackstone. It was fabulous, but I have 20 ounces of chicken ready to go for this recipe. So when you're on my plan, that's one thing I really recommend for people to do is let's think, how can we cook our chicken or our protein for the week and use it 2-3 times in different applications? It's gonna happen. We're gonna know that it's gonna be better. So anyway, that's one example. This is actually grilled chicken on the Blackstone, lightly seasoned. You'll notice on the recipe today, this originally is called turkey tetrazzini. For those of you on plan, you might have seen this recipe before. It's fabulous, okay? The first time I ever made it, I made it after the holidays. Why? Because I had leftover turkey. That's the only time I have leftover turkey. Now you can buy turkey fillets, turkey cutlets, turkey breast meat. You could use ground turkey. I wouldn't recommend it. I like the chunkier turkey or chicken, okay? Now, that does not to say it has to be grilled. You could Instapot this and shred it up. Use it later on in the week for zucchini enchiladas. Use it in a taco salad. I mean, there's all types of things you could use that Instapot, shredded chicken, grilled chicken, bought chicken, rotisserie chicken from HEB. Okay, I showed you last week 3 different ways to use that. So all of those things are gonna make it easy to stay on track. Let me show you, we're gonna start off with a little tip. And I typically come to you with this part ready. And I waited today because I wanted to show you one more way to cook spaghetti squash, okay? This is how I did it today. It's roasted up in the oven. Lightly salt and pepper with a little bit of olive oil. Now the reason I wanted to show you that is I just cut it so crossways, so I created little rings. Last night for dinner, guys, this was amazing. These little rings, let me actually just show you because I've got to shred this anyway. Once again, I am Julie Brinkley. I am a at-home cook. I'm a mom to 3 and Dalton, and pilot wife who has to cook and feed the family. Luckily, in this little health coach gig that I do, I get to stay home, which I'm thrilled about. But that being said, not a professional kitchen. So I have to go get tools sometimes, and sometimes we have dogs cross through, and sometimes I make mistakes, which brings me to my hashtag, be nice. That's why. We just do this for fun. We do this to be better, 1% better every day. But I want you to see, I think you can see, I have a new mount for my phone, and it kind of pushed you back a little bit, which is awesome, except for the bad thing is I can't see very well. So if you're on here, give me a shout out. Let me know that you're here. Let me know where you're watching from. That's always fun for me. I'm a small town girl, so I kind of think everybody should be right here from Stephenville, but I know you're not. So let me know you're watching, and let me know if you've cooked some of our other meals today, okay? But look what I'm gonna do, guys. I gotta show you this before we move on to the next recipe. This is, pretend we're making last night's recipe. I did little spaghetti squash with a meat sauce, just a regular plan-approved marinara with a little lean ground beef, topped with a little mozzarella cheese. But look, guys, I'm just gonna lightly kind of pull that spaghetti squash away from the ring. The outside rind of a spaghetti squash is super tough. It's almost like hard plastic when it cooks. It's funny because when I toss them into the chickens in the chicken coop, it just leaves like this little plastic bowl. They can't even penetrate it. So that's fun. But let me show you guys. Look at that. Can you see? It made like a little nest of spaghetti squash. This is going to be such a fun, if you have littles, guys, and you want them to start trying to get used to eating spaghetti squash, maybe instead of normal pasta, then this is a fun way to do it because you can kind of make it like a little nest. You could even, pull in a little story. I mean, that would be super fun. My almost 14-year-old did not appreciate, how wonderful this really was, but I could totally get around this for some little ones that could think this is super fun. Again, we're not restricting carbs from little ones. Again, Harrison, oftentimes you've heard me talk. I'll make a dish with cauliflower rice. What does he get? He gets sticky white rice that I get in little individual serving sizes because he needs those carbs. And actually, on plan, we need carbs too. If you're on my plan, then you know that carbs are not eliminated, but we get carbs in lots of things, like green beans and mozzarella cheese and all of our vegetables. So that's not a bad thing. But I want you to kind of see what this could look like. Look at those. Aren't they so fun? I thought it was the best little meal. And we topped it with a portion of the meat marinara sauce and then mozzarella cheese, tossed it back into the oven. We actually served it just like that. It was so fun to be on a plate because this kind of stays around it, but you'll see here how it just comes off so easy. So we're gonna take this spaghetti squash. Now I'll speed it up because we don't need to keep the rings. And typically, I think I noted on the recipe, this could be prepared a couple different ways. You've seen me prepare it in the Instapot with just a little bit of broth. I do have to warn you, I mean, I don't really have an official disclaimer, but cutting spaghetti squash can be quite dangerous. So be careful. Make sure that you're using a really sharp knife, and make sure you are using, you know, tucked fingers and all the things, because it is a really hard squash to cut. That being said, a dear friend of mine, the most amazing running buddy, other than the one I'm married to, Kathleen found a freezer ready spaghetti squash. So there's tons of ways, you know, manufacturing and food distributors are finally figuring out that our country has a problem with obesity and getting behind us and making some of these techniques and systems a little bit easier to cook. So we're gonna toss this in here. This is about a medium size spaghetti squash. I think the recipe calls for 5 cups. This is not 5 cups, I don't think, but I have to tell you, on plan, we're gonna want you to really delve into making sure you are measuring your vegetables. There is a conversion chart for those of you that are on plan, you know what I'm talking about. What does a half a cup of green beans really weigh? Look into that. If you're not on a health plan and you just want to eat healthy, then 5 random cups of spaghetti squash will be fine. But next up, I've got the spaghetti squash ready. Again, I would have had that ready for you, but I really wanted you to see the little nest. It's gonna be super. Think about all the ways you could use that. You could do the shrimp scampi that we do with spaghetti squash. You could serve it that way. It could be really fun to entertain people this way. So I'm gonna turn on a couple burners here because I've got 2 preps that are gonna look really similar, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and start the prep for the green bean casserole. Okay, this is gonna take your grandma's green bean casserole to a new level. Yes, you're gonna get some of the nuances of a green bean gooey casserole without the guilt of like canned soup and high fat ingredients. We do have some fat in there. There's definitely healthy fat included. So again, for those on plan, be sure you look at the condiments and healthy fats and all of those things included. These 2 dishes together would not be on plan, okay? The reason I say that is because the green beans have too many condiments and healthy fats. You would need to add a lean protein with that. And of course, our turkey tetrazzini would be best paired with just some steamed broccoli or a little side salad if you're looking at balancing all the numbers you need to for plan. So I gotta tell you, we're gonna start off with something very similar. Onion, mushroom, a little garlic. That sounds familiar, right? Isn't that the way you like to start cooking? But the turkey tetrazzini is actually butter. Guys, this plan that we're on, it's not about like avoiding all natural fats, avoiding dairy, avoiding those things. It's about learning proportion. This is 1 tablespoon of butter. We're gonna toss this in a pan. Now the other, the green beans, we're not actually using butter. We're gonna lightly spritz with a little cooking spray. However, both, and I've talked to you about this before, if you've watched before, then you know yellow onion, yellow sweet onion, which I love. But when you're on a plan to help yourself be in fat burn, those yellow onions, any onion actually, caramelized, create sugars in our body. The glycemic level of that veggie is too high. So there is an onion. This one's actually in the store. It's called barbecue onion. It's like a spring onion or a green onion, one of the 2. Mainly it's the ones with the stalk still on it. They don't create the same type of caramelization. And so it's just a little bit better for plan. Green onion being the best. And so we're gonna go ahead and saute. I won't lie to you. These do not saute up the same way that a yellow onion does. But much like everything else when we're on a plan and we try to transition to healthy eating, this is one of the changes. It's like, you know what? This really isn't that bad. So we can totally make this little change. And if this is what keeps you from wanting a healthy diet, then you're crazy, because this is a good change. We're gonna get both of these sauteing up. Again, you people out there watching live, you give me a heads up, because sometimes I turn my back on that burner and things go crazy. Now I will also be honest with you, portion-wise, on the mushrooms, it's 9 ounces of Bella mushrooms. For you people who don't want to weigh it, that's about the size of the normal little quart size that you can get in the store. I have split those amounts in these 2 recipes because I have a college girl who isn't a fan of mushrooms, and she's just gonna pick them out and waste them anyway. So I'm gonna add my 9 ounces of Bella mushrooms to the turkey tetrazzini, or chicken tetrazzini in our case. And I'm gonna go ahead and add the mushrooms to the onions that are for the green beans as well. Again, you'll notice with a tablespoon of butter and just a spritz of olive oil, that's not a lot of oil in those pans, but it's still enough to totally toss around and coat it and get it cooked well and almost tender through. Okay, that's really what we're going for. Now, also in the turkey tetrazzini, we're gonna add a red bell pepper. I believe it says a cup. I'm just gonna tell you, I'd probably just use a regular size red bell pepper. You know, the colored bell peppers are kind of a little bit more expensive. I think $1.38 each or something. So for me, I'm like, I'm gonna use all of that. Now you could use, if you keep a little bag of the sweet bell peppers, which we do in the fridge. I'm always making something with those little, I love them at lunchtime, those little sweet bell peppers. Lunchtime with a little lunchtime with a little goat cheese and everything but the bagel seasoning. Fabulous, great way to get a little protein, nice little crunch, so good. We're gonna add here's my disclaimer. On plan, that's not a cup. I'm gonna use the whole thing. So if you're on plan, you're gonna measure right? Red bell peppers go in the chicken tetrazzini dish. We're gonna let that saute. I think, oh, one more thing. In the green beans, we're gonna add some garlic. Again, I've told you before, you could use garlic powder if you do not keep minced garlic in the fridge. Then you could definitely use granulated garlic. I like you to use fresh where you can. I think the flavor is better. I'm actually using a regular clove today, and I'll just be honest with you, I'm probably gonna put a little garlic in both of these things. The Brinkleys like a little garlic, even though the garlic is not counted for on the turkey tetrazzini. But what would it hurt? I mean, honestly. I mean, it's going to be more carbs, though, guys. Just be smart. But the foodie in me is like, oh, my goodness, I need a little bit more garlic in there. So I'm going to mince this up. And put this right into, we're going to go with the turkey tetrazzini first. I'll do another one for the green beans. So in the comments, you guys should tell me a few things. You should tell me, what is your go-to comfort food? One thing that I'm curious about is because maybe some of your comfort foods could be transition to healthy foods. That's a little bit what this is doing. This turkey tetrazzini is going to be a little reminiscent of like all of the chicken spaghetti that I cooked in the 90s, okay? I was like the canned soup casserole queen, and I think I started every single dish with onion, carrot, celery, and a stick of butter. Obviously, I got to my problem 5 years ago at 220 pounds naturally by eating that way. So there's still ways to eat really yummy comfort food, even in the form of a casserole, that can be done healthy. So this is just one example. Okay. I've turned that way down so it doesn't burn. Just gotta double check, make sure. We're gonna toss in a little bit of salt and pepper to both. And next up, I want to talk to you about the herbs again. I have mentioned before, and I think I have to have a disclaimer. This is the part that stresses me out because I want my food to be simple and easy for you. I want it to be few ingredients. I want it to be affordable for families, and I want it to be full of flavor. So I do grow a lot of my own herbs. This is some beautiful sage that we're going to garnish the top of our tetrazzini with. And I actually am going to use fresh thyme. I don't want to seem all fancy on you guys. You could use dried thyme. You could actually, if you didn't have these spices and you decided to just use Italian seasoning that you have, a blend, then great. It's still going to be a delicious meal. Now I'm going to tell you, this dish is next level with sage. So we are adding a little bit of rubbed sage as well. But I wanted to show you on the thyme. Thyme is super easy to grow, guys. It makes a beautiful ground cover. And it lasts year after year after year. I'm not kidding you when I say that. Like my thyme, even with our horrible winter that we had in Texas and we lost everything almost, it survives. So I've already taken the little leaves and you just pull off the tender parts, but when it gets too woody, then you kind of strip the leaves down going backwards. And I'm just gonna give this kind of a rough chop. I have to say too, my sound and light man is home today, thank goodness. And so he's gonna get a delicious lunch. I think the last couple of weeks he's been gone, so he's had to watch it. And then it's usually gone by the time he gets home from a trip. So Captain Brinkley's gonna eat good today. I'm gonna add the sage and the thyme into my turkey tetrazzini. Guys, this is going to be so good. Look at this. This is what healthy food should look like. Lots of color, beautiful aromatic smells going on. I'm gonna take now, I have a little bit of cold medicine head, guys. I have to look at my recipe more than I typically do. Turn down the low. Okay, we've done that. Excuse me. Now what we're gonna do next, I'm actually do up here. I'm not gonna add the chicken yet, okay? I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna take my cream cheese, and it's already kind of softened because it's been sitting out, and I'm gonna just pull it apart in clumps. It's gonna kind of help it break down a little bit smoother. The cream cheese is light cream cheese, okay? The third less fat cream cheese. Don't do the fat-free cheese. This is definitely part of the recipe. By the serving sizes, this healthy fat is distributed throughout. So again, we are not looking at depriving ourselves of all fats and carbs. It's just in moderation. We're also, on the recipe, it's noted as almond milk, a half a cup of unsweetened almond milk. If you're not on plan and you don't have almond milk and you'd rather use cow's milk, use it. On plan, it's a little bit too high in carbs, and so we've supplemented with almond milk. This is actually cashew milk. I like a little cashew milk sometimes in my coffee, so that's a little hack there. I pulled this off the burner because I don't want that cheese to, I want it to just slowly kind of melt into that. And so I think you can see this. I'm just kind of stirring around those clumps. It's in a warm pan. The veggies are warm. It's kind of getting all gooey. And again, guys, isn't this what we think of when we think comfort food? When we think, gosh, I've had allergies for 5 days now, I could really use some comfort, warm food. The other thing that's really great about this dish, Now again, I always make it seem longer because I'm talking to you and I have everything prepped nice and talking about the ingredient. Guys, you could throw this together really quickly the night before and toss it in the fridge and be ready to pull it out of the oven or pull it out of the fridge whenever you get home the next day. Like I was telling Sarah earlier, this type of dish is also one that would reheat well. So I don't know about you guys, but sometimes, although we're pretty good about eating around the table together, that's kind of an important thing to heat up. And so think about having those type of things as well. Now that I've mixed that and it's all, ooh, almost went right on the counter. We're gonna add in our chicken, but I'm gonna take this and chop it down just a little bit more. This again was just some leftover grilled chicken that I had from earlier in the week. You could use shredded chicken. You could use already deboned rotisserie chicken. I know our local HEB has it that way. We've used it several times. Keep in mind, you guys on plan, our proteins are specific, so make sure if it's in leaner, you want it to be in the leaner category. So what I'm saying is don't supplement chicken thighs, okay? As those fall out of that category. We're gonna add this in. Oops. Too bad there's not a dog in here right now, guys, because they would be feasting on what I keep dropping on the floor. So we're gonna take this and just kind of toss it around. Make sure it gets evenly coated. Guys, this, have this over when you have your parents over for dinner, or when you have the neighbors over, or you know what you should do? You should make up a casserole just like this and take it to that teacher that you love this next week, because they're gonna be working their tails off with these kiddos, right? That was some of my favorite memories of teaching, was when my mother-in-law lived here, she prepared food for us the first day of school. And it was awesome. And it was always something warm and gooey and comfort food that just made the day seem like it ended so perfectly. Okay, so we're ready there. I'm gonna take my dish. Now I'm gonna use just a regular baking dish. I'm gonna go ahead and spray it, even though this stone typically doesn't stick. And I think these ingredients wouldn't stick either, but I wanna make sure. So we're gonna dish it up. You could easily split this, guys. Put it in a foil pan, split it, freeze one of them, set it out the next day. Oh, I already messed up. This is why Facebook Live is so fun. Look what I'm gonna do. We're gonna fix it, because this happens in real life too, right? I totally forgot. This has an amazing component that I already showed you. So look how fast that is. Maybe if I'm really smart, before this goes to YouTube, I'll edit that out, but maybe not. We're gonna add our spaghetti squash. Don't forget the 5 cups of spaghetti squash. Now you could toss it around in there, but I kind of like for my spaghetti squash to show, because I really love the illusion of pasta. I am a carb addict. That's, again, self-professed. That's why I got to the problem I got to. So I love seeing it as pasta, and I think it's gonna make the dish pretty. Instead of trying to mush it around too much and get everything coated, I'm gonna do it just like that. We're gonna top it off with, I think it is 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. And I'm gonna toss it right into the oven, guys. We're gonna let this get, it's actually cooked, everything is cooked, but we want that nice toasty top. And then of course we'll garnish, excuse me, with a little bit of that fresh sage and parsley over the top. It's gonna be a beautiful dish. Again, such a treat for that neighbor or favorite new teacher. I mean, who wouldn't love that, okay? So now we're gonna move back to our green beans. I don't often show you a side dish. I don't know why. So many of my recipes on plan are all included. Like, it's just an easy way to get all of your protein, your lean and your green and your healthy fats all together. But today I was thinking I really want to show a side dish. And so I started looking for green beans. I don't eat a lot of green beans, but I have a client who eats green beans every single day. She knows who she is. And so maybe this will be a new twist. Now these are fresh green beans just out of the bag, okay? I microwave them for 2 minutes. You could actually use frozen, okay, and microwave as the directions show, and then make sure that you drain all the juice. There's even a modified version of this on Sandy's Kitchen website. That's where I get some of these recipes for inspiration. I've tweaked this one just a little bit. Excuse me. But you can actually use canned. Do I recommend it? No. I think it'd be way too mushy, but you could. And this is what we're gonna do next. We're gonna have our green beans. We're gonna go ahead, we've already got our sauteed spring onions, a little salt and pepper, and a little mushroom. We're gonna add that. Next up, the magic ingredient. With no spatula to be seen. Let's see. Once again, please refer to my disclaimer. I'm a home chef, no sous chef here, and just my regular old kitchen tools. We're gonna add a little bit of Greek yogurt. Again, if you're on plan, you know that Greek yogurt is the greatest little tool to, oh, that was not Greek yogurt, that was sour cream. This is the Greek yogurt. A little bit of low-fat sour cream. Now we're gonna add that Greek yogurt that I just mentioned. I love this one in the stores because I buy it like this. This is about 3/4 cup, so it's just super easy. I don't waste it. I'm able to use it, and that's, it seems like to me, I don't know, there's probably a few out there that aren't, but most of my recipes call for 3/4 cup. So it's super convenient too. So we wanna toss this around. Now, a couple things I want to tell you. This recipe also called for cornstarch. I do not put cornstarch in here. Cornstarch is just a thickening agent, okay, to thicken together this little sauce that's going to cook up. I see no need in it. I am okay if my sauce is a little runny and I save some condiment there, okay? Everything counts that goes into our food. And so if that's a big deal for you, if presentation and that thick sauce is important, then you'll want to go ahead and add that. But if not, then eliminate it. The other thing that I eliminate is the stevia. Now, stevia is a no sugar, it's a plant-based sweetener. But again, sometimes the sweet, I do have a dish or two that I do use a little packet of stevia in, but I don't think it's really necessary in this dish. I love the flavors that happen with this dish. We are gonna use a little bit of low fat. Remember, I just used the 2% cheese that I can find, 2% of reduced fat. I don't like to use the fat-free, okay? And again, Greek yogurt. Notice I haven't opened one single can of soup or mush or those type of ingredients. Fresh, clean ingredients added in. Now I'm just kind of tossing these. You could have mixed, I guess, the sour cream and the Greek yogurt together first. If you're using the cornstarch, then you'll want to do that. I'm just lightly tossing that. I am going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. Always. Remember, I did add a little bit of garlic just for flavor in there. So if you are on plan, you might want to consider lessening somewhere else so that you can afford that. Well, which I did. No cornstarch, so I would have been okay to add that garlic. We're gonna I'm gonna do a shallow dish with this, okay? Just a really nice shallow dish because I want to get as many toasty, cooked through, roasted green beans as possible. I don't want it to be too thick. Again, I think I noted on the recipe, you can, I microwaved in the bag. You could do a quick blanch, 2 minutes, pop fresh green beans if you have a garden and you are getting these out of your garden, just a quick 2 minutes in a boiling pot of water, and then throw them in an ice bath right after. They turn bright green, just tender enough for a nice crunch, but really nice. We're also gonna add 2 tablespoons of Parm. Again, the Parmesan cheese is a little extra protein, so you'll notice, people on plan, this has a little protein as well, so that's why your lean protein added with it will need to be a little less than that recommended daily protein. So, how about that, guys? I mean, comfort, casserole, food, and staying on plan, sign me up, right? We're gonna toss this in the oven. Both of those are gonna cook about 25 to 30 minutes, just until they're crunchy brown around the edges. Of course, you can decide how much you like that to go. I really like the bubbly brown cheese on the top. That's gonna be my favorite part of that dish. I can't wait for that meal to come out of the oven tonight. Actually, I think I'll cook it through and take that around to some sweet people that deserve a good hot meal today. But I am so happy that you joined me today. If you'd like to know more about a 5-in-1 plan that will help you not only shed a few pounds, but also bring health and life to you, please let me know. This is not just about the food that we put in our mouth, but when we decide to start looking at that closer, it can be a game changer. So I would love to help you with that. Don't forget, every Wednesday right here at 11 a.m. Until I see you next week, be nice.